In this video I'm going to demonstrate how to use a layer mask to cut out this orange here and place it in the hallway. There's a couple of things I'd like to point out before I actually start. In the hallway, in the bottom of these stairs here, look, you can see I've placed a dustbin liner filled with air just to create a realistic looking shadow. Alright, what we're going to do is we're going to cut out this orange and we're going to resize it and place it over the top of that dustbin liner so that it looks like it's really there. So a layer mask, it's this little symbol down to the right here. When we place that on, when we add that to our image, it means we can use the paintbrush tool and white or black paint to actually cut through that layer mask. So I'll quickly demonstrate. So I've got my brush tool and I've got black as our foreground paint, and if I paint over here, look, you can see it deletes the layer, and if I swap the black for white by clicking these little arrows, I can then put that information back, just like so. That way it means that we can actually cut things out fairly accurately because we can cut things out from both sides. Alright, so I can cut something out from one side, and then and if I go into that a little bit too much, if I cut too much of that away, I can then swap the colour and then bring that back out, and that way we can actually refine the edge of the object that we want to cut out. Now this orange has a fairly sharp edge to it, so for that I'm going to use a fairly sharp brush. So I'm going to change the brush hardness to about 85 to 90%, and I'm going to very slowly track around the edge. Now I'm using a mouse today, so that means I'm not going to do it freehand. So I'm going to use the mouse to do this, which is a little bit awkward because it's not particularly designed to do the job. However, there's a neat little trick that we can use to cut out this orange fairly easily, and I call it shift and click. So if I click just on the edge of this orange, and then I hold down the shift key on the keyboard, and then I move the brush to another point with the shift key still pressed, and then click, it will draw a straight line between those 2 points. And if I move the brush again, hold down the shift, it will draw another straight line between those 2 points. And the same, and the same, and the same. And if we do this carefully enough, it means we can actually cut out a round object by using straight lines, because we don't have to move the brush very far in order to create a round shape, because remember, all we're doing is creating an illusion. Alright, so I'm going to very quickly run around this. I'd expect you to do this a lot neater than I am. Can you also see how the brush is of a very similar sharpness to the image, to the edge of the orange itself? Alright, that's because we chose 90% hardness on the brush. Okay, if you've got a little dip, there you go, follow that round. There we go, almost there. Okay, so if there's any obvious dimps, then you can just go back around and just, if there's any obvious bits that look flat, or like at the bottom here, you can go back and you can alter those. I'm still holding down shift and click because it's just a nice quick way of doing this. Okay, I'm going to zoom out. So you can see I've cut my orange out. I'm just going to increase the size of my brush and get rid of, oops, try not to do that. Just going to get rid of the rest of this dead easily. Alright. I'd expect you to take a bit longer over this than I have. Okay, now the good thing is, of course, we can always edit this. So if it doesn't look right, so I've got some sharp edges, look at the top of this orange. I can always iron those out later on. But what I'm going to do now is resize it. So I'm going to go, first of all, to the Move tool. All right, a Move tool is classed as a safe brush. I'm just going to get rid of that. There we go. Because you can't do any harm with it. All right, and it's the same with the selection tool. It's a safe brush. All right. Right, I'm going to use Command T to transform this. So it's Command T, or go to Edit and Free Transform. Can you see there? It actually says Command T on that point. So that's what we're going to choose. And then we're going to resize this. Now, to stop me from squashing this orange, this is Adobe Photoshop CC 2018, I have to hold down the Shift key. If I don't hold down the Shift key, it's dead easy to squish the orange. Now, if you've got a later version of Photoshop, you don't have to do that. Right. So I'm going to get it to about the right size. And if we get it just the right size so it covers up the bin liner, then that is the size it should be. I'm going to hit Enter on the keyboard, or you can hit the little tick at the top to OK it. And this is almost correct. But can you see how the orange sits in front of the banister rail here? So we're going to go back into our layer mask. We're going to choose a brush, and it's going to be a small brush. Okay, and then just going to slowly eat away. Let's find the edge of that. Okay, I'm just going to replace that. Oops. Okay, I'm still using Shift and click here, even to go around this tiny little bit. Okay, let's see how that looks. Okay, there's a tiny little bit of haloing around that, so I'm just going to if you want to switch quickly between your white and black colours when you're layer masking, X on the keyboard will swap them over quickly. You can see that. Right, let's zoom out, and there we have it. Okay, it looks fairly real, and that's a layer mask.